Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto.com. Here we are with a photo of the week. This time I'm doing it inside of ScreenFlow to give you more of an insight in how I get to the final product and to run you through this image. So let's run you through this image first. Who it is, why I'm here shooting, go through all the different compositions, and then I'll take it to the next level and show you how I got this file from where it was initially into this black and white final product. Also, we'll go through how we shot it. So let's start off with who this is. This is a guy named Adam Reaver. He is a friend of mine that I've known in the area for quite a long time. I officiate his hockey games that he plays in men's league, and lately, well, we were introduced a couple weeks back actually through Facebook. He saw a picture of me at a festival and was like, whoa, hey, I know that guy. He refs my games. I didn't know he was into music. So I didn't know what he did, and he didn't know what I did. And he basically runs this company, Floyd Upgrades, which is, I believe it's floydupgrades.com. And he takes Floyd Rose bridges, I guess that's the neck of the guitar or something like that. I am not a guitar person. I don't know much about them other than shooting photos of them. He takes and does upgrades to blocks and things and bobbers, and this is where he does it, in his studio. And as you can see, there's a ton of guitars hanging on the wall. There's a whole lot of different amps. He's worked with some of the biggest guys in the industry. No need to really name them, but there's some of the biggest guys in the industry he is really well connected with. He sets up their guitars. He goes out on the road and texts for them at certain shows when they come into the area. So that's a little bit about Adam. And basically I told him, hey, why don't I come down and photograph you working? You know, that's what I love doing, environmental portraits. Everybody knows that I like capturing people in their natural environment doing what they're doing. So we came down there to his studio and started to just hang out. The first day we hung out, I didn't take any pictures. I just didn't want to take any pictures. You know, I wanted to feel everything out. He gets to know me. I get to know him better. So the next time I came back, we were ready to shoot, and he had some upgrades to do to this guitar that he's holding, and I just observed and basically started shooting. So I was using the D3s, set it to 400 ISO. I was shooting at 1/125th of a second, 24-70. We shot at 2.8. So the Nikon 24-70 is what I used here. I will tell you, I ran through different lenses. I ran through the 14-24, 24-70, 70-200, and the 16 fisheye. I only used that for a couple shots, and I don't think I used any of them in the final product because I wasn't too happy with the results with the 16. The 14 gave me some nice framing when I got closer, when he was working on the guitar, and the 24 just worked really well for shots like this. But let me jump to the 70-200 real quick. The 70-200 was great when he was blocking that little lamp that you see there on his desk. When his head was blocking the lamp, it gave it a nice glow, and I was able to get really nice tight shots of him working. So let's talk about how I decided on 4000 ISO and 1/125th of a second. If I was to have metered this shot for this light right here in the middle, everything would have been way too dark. Let's see. It would have probably, you know, it would have looked like this because it was metering for, it would meter for the light instead of metering for him. So we'll go back. This is where I ended up. But if I left it on aperture priority, that is what would have happened, especially on 3D Matrix. It would have read for the light. But I know that it's a consistent light in the basement. It's not going to change here in the studio. And at that point, you know that you can set your settings to manual. So I knew I didn't have a lot of light, so I had to pump it up to 4000 ISO. Then I had to figure out what worked better, what didn't blow out too much, what shutter speed was going to work the best. That's why I settled in on 1/25th at 2.8. I like shooting wide open. You know that. You have to be tack sharp on your focus, which I was focused here on his eyes, even though they're looking down at what he was doing. But you know, if I didn't shoot at 1/25th and the camera was reading it, it probably would have read about 1,000th of a second, which would have totally made the rest of the image too dark and not usable. So that's why shooting in manual in this situation is the best thing to do. Get your settings right when you start shooting. Each lens is going to be different a little bit in terms of your settings. As you shoot with a tighter lens like a 70-200, you're going to need to tweak your shutter speed again. But in something like this with the 24-70, or any lens for that matter, get into manual when you know the lights are not going to change. Get a setting that works, and then tweak your file later to make it even better. So as you can see here, my corrections that I made, well, let's skip the corrections. Let's show you where I started and go through how I made those corrections. This is what the image looked like down there. I tried to make the color work, but, you know, when that happens, it's like, blah, you know, there's the white balance, and then here's some magenta, and that's, you know, that's white balanced right there, at least to me, but that's boring. That doesn't do very much. So I know that the black and white's going to be better here. Saturation, vibrance, gone. Contrast, you know I'm a big fan of pumping my contrast all the way up. And then I just start tweaking this. I start tweaking my exposure, and I settle in this one, I settled in around 1. You know, a stop, I was off by a stop in this case, but it allows me to save everything else in the image. You know, this is pretty much all I did to this image. Clarity, this is what clarity is going to do. If you do that, it's too much. The mid-tone sharpening, I'm not a big fan of too much of that. If you do it too little or take it all the way out, it makes everything glow. But here, just a little bit. I'm going to put a, 20 right there. You can see as we zoom in here, it's nice and sharp. I have got my general sharpening over here, which is a basic sharp, but overall, in the composition of the image, he is right in the middle, but there's a lot of things that benefit this image because he's in the middle. I've got these guitars up here, up the stairs. I'm showing the whole scene. I wanted to show all the guitars in the back and all the guitars up on the, as you go up the stairs, and that's why he's right in the middle, because this is his domain. This is his work area, and I'm showing you the whole thing. There's other photos where I have him thrown off to the left or thrown off to the right, but in this case, it worked better, in my opinion, right in the middle. So you hear the story about the photo, you've seen where it started in color, and then how I tweaked it in black and white, and that is this week's photo of the week. So any questions, you can always hit me up, Jared, or let's see, Fro at froknowsphoto.com, or hit the forum up and start a new thread for this photo. Jared Polin, froknowsphoto.com. See ya.